right, here we go.
Oh my gosh, my lipstick is.
It is totally. You definitely went
Okay,
crazy dark lipstick for the evening. I love it.
No, that's better.
Oh, all right. You muted it a little bit.
Okay.
All right. I'm Matt. This is Jocelyn. This is Ungovernable, coming at you every Monday evening, usually at 9 o'clock, but during theater
Tap dancing.
performance season with tap dancing, we are live at 9:30. So a reminder, like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell on YouTube. And if you're watching on the blockchain, we are on Vim, we're on Odyssey. Definitely give us a thumbs up. We're not monetized anywhere really, so on the blockchain it helps us out to upvote us because we do get rewarded some crypto there, so that would be a big help. And then on any of the standard platforms, anything you can do to help us get this out there and help us work the algorithm would be absolutely fantastic. All right, so as is usually the case, we have a bottle of wine.
Oh, we do.
Yes, this one you picked out. Do you want to intro it?
I did not. The kids picked it out.
Oh, the kids picked it out based off of the label. Okay. I love this because this is very symbolic of politics. This is absolutely so. It is called In Sheep's Clothing.
Ooh.
And if you notice, it is a like a wolf that has a full-on like sheep's outfit. A lot of people have described democracy as two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. So this is very emblematic of my view of politics.
So the kids
anyway.
did good.
Yes, yeah. And so it is a 2019 Cabernet Sauvignon from Washington State.
Oregon.
And it's bottled in Oregon, but the grapes are grown in Washington. But yeah, we don't pick like overly expensive wines.
Everything's under $20.
Under $20. So not anything crazy. Usually red wines. We will break out some of the white wines from the Finger Lakes, I think, in the near future.
Good.
So we had an inventory of wine to work through.
We don't have that much anymore.
Yeah.
There was one place that had a table wine and it was $11 at the winery.
Yeah.
The
Which
one with the rose.
Was that Atwater?
Oh my God, $11. So good. We should have bought like a case of it.
It was really good. So yeah, what are we talking about this evening? We're talking about financial planning for the apocalypse, basically. A reminder that we take live comments and questions. So if at any time during the show you have something you want to add or a question that you want to ask, please feel free to drop it in the comments.
Information on the apocalypse.
Yeah, information on the apocalypse or resources or anything like that. Or if you're listening or watching to the recorded version of this, also throw it into the comments. I will get back to you and, we can have a conversation about it. Yeah, smells really good. Yeah, are you drinking straight from the bottle?
It's really good.
I should hope so.
It smelled really good.
All right, so let me set the stage here. All right,
because I have no clue what we're talking about tonight.
You're not a financial person.
Not a financial person at all. I'm like, take your money and stuff it in the mattress.
Yeah.
Banks don't trust them.
We are yin and yang on many things. This is one of them. So yeah, I have a background in banking, investment planning, insurance, and risk management. Whole bunch of stuff. I've had a whole crap load of hats in financial services over my tenure as a working adult. And I can safely say that the economic environment that we're in now is probably having traded on a trading desk, on a proprietary trading desk through 2008 and 2009. I can say
trading then?
I was trading then. We would wake up every single day, get to the office. We would look at the news and everything like that. But while the housing market was falling apart, all you would do is essentially short subprime lenders and banks every single morning. You just, as soon as the market opened,
money when you were doing that?
Yes, yeah, like you would just short the financials, and then just most days it would go down and you make a crap ton of money. We're kind of at that point now, except for the fact that I don't think it's just going to be financials this time. I think we're talking about market-wide meltdown. We have and just like quick disclaimer, we're not like investment people. I'm not like an investment advisor anymore or anything like that.
In art and theater and therapy.
So we're just kind of going to talk about what we're doing to kind of prep going forward and why and that kind of thing. But you have to make the decisions for your own personal, financial situation.
Well,
and
it's like I
your
said
risk aptitude.
It's like I said to you today. It's amazing to think how many people let their life savings, give it to somebody they hardly know and they just take care of it. Like that's an insane thing to me. Like people who just have 401ks like
Mhm.
through their work or something.
Yeah.
I
Just
mean, they just
randomly dump money into these.
right, and they don't know where it's going or they don't know how it's working, and
Yeah, and they each have like a stupid
they're not
color.
taking their financial advisors out for
Did
coffee and walks and figuring out who they
did
are.
you ever put money into a 401k? I'm never sure.
I've
Did you ever have a job where you had a 401k? I'm not trying to like. I'm not trying to out you or like be critical.
I've never made more than like 34,000 a year
Okay, all
in
right.
like a nonprofit world where you don't get
Yeah, not a lot
that.
of nonprofits
I
have
think I
like a
made
full
more than
blown
that at one
401k.
point.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Like a lot of 401ks are set up in this very juvenile kind of way where each fund has like a color or something associated with it. Like they really dumb it down.
Mm.
And a lot of people welcome that, but it's like part of the ruse, right? Like they want to make it seem dumb and simple, and it's anything but
I
that.
watch you do it and I'm like,
It's well,
but the other, I mean, just to think about how many people just allow someone else to do this for you,
yeah.
and you have no clue what they're doing or what they know or what they don't know or who they're, that's just,
Or what their financial incentives are, right?
right.
Like I think a lot of people fail to ask the question a lot of time when they pick, someone to help them out with their
They get a
finances.
free meal. They
Well,
go to
yeah.
get a free meal and like something, and they get a free dinner, right? And like wine dinner or something. That's what my parents used to do, the financial dinner.
Yeah.
And then they would, you just sign off your entire life savings to them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insanity.
This is Dimitri's got a comment. I followed Dimitri Brooksfield. I followed a lot of Edward Griffin's ideas for surviving hard times, investing in precious metal mining companies, and buying up hard assets like physical gold and silver. We're definitely going to talk about that. That's an awesome comment and something that everyone should at least have top of mind when they're looking at this stuff. And I'm also a big follower of Heresy Financial, and he's a huge advocate. Joe Brown's a huge advocate of, if you're going to invest in companies that actually like pull stuff out of the ground or
Well,
create physical assets, which is a huge
maybe
deal.
what you should do is say, like, just put out the people that you listen to, because you listen to a few people.
Yeah. So
who seem to be really on.
here's the thing. When it comes to like, if you're going to take your own financial, the reins of your own finances, you have to listen to a wide range of people. All too often, like, especially if all you're doing is like going to social media or whatever for this stuff, you have to make sure to remove yourself from like the confirmation bias or from that kind of like small pond syndrome that develops, these little kind of like walled off pods that all of us seem to have on social media. So you have to seek out some really diverse thought, because it's what's the saying I like from Mark Twain? It's not what you don't know that will get you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just isn't so. Right? Like it's that thing that you know for certain is going to happen, and the complete opposite is actually true, right? Which is interestingly enough something that all too often causes these financial meltdowns and collapses and crashes and recessions and things like that.
Well, I mean, I've always said about the stock market, it's just a gamble. It's just a casino to me. Like I see what you do with it and the analytics and stuff, and there's so much psychology to it, and there's so much corruption to it. Like, I don't know how people do it. If it were me, I would just literally stash it in a mattress.
Yeah. Well, we're actually going to talk about that, because there's some stashing in mattresses that we've been doing and we're going to continue to do as we kind of move money out of places like the stock market. Because you're right, there is a gigantic element of, I wouldn't necessarily call it chance. I would call it corruption or manipulation.
Corruption.
Like I think it goes even beyond like a casino, because a casino for the most part has to guarantee you the same probability based off of the game that you're playing, right? Every flip, every turn of the card has to give you at least the same probability, so the game's not rigged against you. The stock market is the complete antithesis to that.
Just
right?
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like if you don't know what you're doing, you're basically just throwing darts at a dartboard, and most of the time you're going to end up losing, because someone with more money and more information and more pull is going to be
Yeah.
pulling the rug out from under you, or
It's almost like when you're in the stock market, like I've said to you at times, maybe we should just invest our money in a business, because like you can't control it, like, and the anxiety and agita from it,
Yeah.
like, and having to follow along, it's just, I
Yeah.
don't know how you do it.
Well, we have kind of like a special case here. So like we have money that is inherited, and it's in like tax protected accounts that we have to take out over a certain number of years. But if we were to take it out all in one shot, it would be earned income, and then we would just basically light 40-50% of it on fire. So some of that money has to stay at least in like a brokerage account until we end up pulling the money out, right?
Yeah.
There are options where we could transfer that money into, say, like a tax deferred account at somewhere that allows you to essentially invest in physical gold and silver. But that being said, I don't like that either, because, and we'll get into the dynamics of gold and silver as well. I think you need to be holding it, right? Like I
And
don't
that's what
think
you said, you wanted to actually buy gold. We
Yeah.
have a few.
Well, to your point earlier, it's not just the investment advisor or like, the amorphous company that's handling your 401k or something. It's also just the money itself, and the account and the institutions that the money is held at, because digital money, right? Like I find it really funny that people are really skeptical of things like Bitcoin and stuff like that, when truthfully at the end of the day, most of their money is digital anyway, right? It's
Credit. I
sitting.
think of credit cards.
I mean, it's sitting in an account. Well, that's not money. I mean, that's red
No.
money, but it's sitting in an account somewhere, right? That has your name attached to it.
And you have to call ahead of time to get it in certain bills. We just found that out.
Yeah.
You have to call ahead of time in order to get a certain amount of money out. You have to give them days to give you cash.
Yeah.
Which I didn't. You think they have it all there, right? But I guess.
Oh, we'll talk about that too. So let me finish on the really,
Sorry, I
really.
totally went
No.
off.
That's okay. So let me finish on kind of the quick setup
I
here.
want
All right.
Twizzler.
Yeah, go ahead. Take a Twizzler. they're a little dry
I'm
because
not
they've
gonna
been
be able to
sitting.
chew it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be chewing like
you're chewing cud or
I'm
something.
gonna suck on it.
Yeah, you're better off that way. So now the vlog is turned into a mukbang vlog. So do you know what mukbang is? That's the one that you like, the one trans person on TikTok or Facebook or whatever, and
That
she
chews?
eats all of the all the fast food and stuff, and she sits there and chews like a cow.
It's gonna be like chewing like a squirrel.
The
I
whole
got no
time.
teeth.
Yeah. That's changing soon.
Yeah.
But all right.
My implants are awesomely ready for teeth.
Yeah. So let's talk about the market. All right. So we're at a point now where the market has come down dramatically. We're technically in the bear market from the standpoint of from the highest that the market got to.
Mhm.
Once you're down 20%, technically you're in a bear market. All of the major indexes right now are down over 20%. So we're technically in, at the very least, a near-term bear market. Go ahead. You're raising your finger like you had a question. Okay. All right.
I was feeling the Twizzler.
The reason why is because inflation started to get out of hand, and the Federal Reserve said, all right, we need to step in. They're stepping in late, by the way. They should have stepped in 2 years ago. And they're raising interest rates, which means they're restricting the flow of money and credit in the market. And our entire economy basically runs on credit and debt, right? Another reason why we're going to talk about things that move away from that dynamic, because that system is at risk right now. Because with the Federal Reserve raising interest rates so quickly to basically kill inflation, they're essentially going to end up killing the economy.
You don't think they're going to cut it short and start do like they did when?
No,
you think they did that in 2008?
No, absolutely not. I think they have been very frank in what they have said. They've essentially said that they
Unless
will not.
Mr. Joe calls and says, "I need to have."
No, I don't even think that'll work at this point. I think they've already started moving in that direction, right? I don't think they're moving fast enough, and a lot of people in the financial world would think I'm crazy, but I don't think they raised the interest rates quickly enough, because it takes 6 to 12 months for your very first interest rate rise to start hitting the market, which is why most recessions happens 12 to 18 months after the Federal Reserve stops raising interest rates. That's not going to be what happens this go around, because the Federal Reserve has been extremely frank. They are going to raise interest rates until we see below trend growth in the economy, which means low GDP or negative GDP, which is contraction.
Mhm.
Okay, a rise in unemployment. All right,
Which
and
hasn't happened.
no, unemployment is still dropping. Now, unemployment is a lagging indicator, meaning the world could be on fire and it just takes time before unemployment catches up, essentially, because it
Wasn't the
takes
last
time to.
unemployment number up though?
Yeah, no, the last unemployment number was actually the unemployment rate was down, which caused the market to, everyone thought the market was bottoming. Now we're back at the lows again. And the last thing is they want to see inflation uh, down considerably for an extended period of time. Like they don't want to see just one inflation
Right.
reading that's low. So essentially, what they've described is a recession, right? They're not going to stop raising rates until we're in a recession, all
Right.
right? Which is much different than
And then
every
that
other time
continues
in
on
history.
6 to 12 months.
In every time in history, again, they've raised rates, stopped. There's lag time before all that damage hits, and then we go into a recession. That's not going to be this time. We're going straight into the recession. I see tons of people trying to call the bottom, trying to be like, oh, stocks are going to go back up into the end of the year. We're going to have a Santa Claus rally and all this other stuff. If those three criteria are not met, that's not happening.
I don't think people are going to go out and buy things that much this Christmas.
I-
People are hurting.
I think this was the most.
I mean, they might buy things but
This was the most poignant thing that I saw someone raise the other day. They said that it feels like the last days of Rome because people are still out. Consumer credit, like on credit cards, is
Hi.
going through the roof. Okay,
Oh, it's not even Christmas yet, though.
it because they're just trying to make up the stagger with the inflation that's still in the system, right? Consumer credit's going through the roof. People have ridiculous car payments. People have ridiculous mortgage payments, especially if they bought a
Gas is
house
going
within the
up
last
again.
2 years.
Food is insane.
Gas is going back up. Food never stopped going up. Right? Like when we got one inflation reading that was like a little bit lower, and everyone was like, hooray, like we've defeated inflation. Now the Fed can stop raising rates. They were like, hold on, Tex, like it could always come back. And sure enough, it came back the next month and popped up. Food never dropped. It's still continuing to go higher because, especially in the food supply chain, that stuff takes a long time to work its way through. If you think about it, like it could take, a season to a couple of seasons to get a calf to a full size cow, right?
Yeah.
And so the increase in the input costs of grain or feed for those animals, you're not going to feel that until the cow actually comes onto the market, right? And so that could be a year, 2, 3 years before you fully feel the full extent of that price hit, right? So
And the rent around is insane.
Rent is
I know someone who just rented a small house, just like a 2-bedroom, $2,900.
Wow.
Like what?
And
that was the cheapest they found, and that's in like Sussex County, or like up towards, like, I guess it must be Morris County, but up towards,
like Northwest Jersey.
Yeah,
which is not like a very
Should not be that
overly
much.
populated area, right? I can say that I think I don't have the exact figure, but the average 1-bedroom like studio apartment or 1-bedroom apartment in Manhattan now is something like $5,000 a month.
Who does that?
How can you survive
What was
on
the point of that?
paying $5,000 a month
I mean, if
for
you're in
one
the city,
bedroom?
you're
Right?
hardly home anyways, I would imagine.
Well, yeah. I mean, that being said, I mean, now add in the cost of living outside the city and then commuting back and forth, right? Which is why a lot of these workers are pushing back on companies trying to get them back into the office. But so we're at a point right now where I think a lot of people are trying to figure out, like, oh, is this the bottom, right? Like, are we going to
Or
recover
what's the worst
now?
going to be?
I think people are woefully wrong. We've never been, institutional investors have never been this pessimistic in the market. And a lot of people say that when that happens, you're nearer to a bottom than you are going to continue to fall that far. I think the problem is that they're still not pessimistic enough. They still don't believe that the Federal Reserve is going to crater the economy. They think that something's going to happen and then the Federal Reserve is just going to completely flip like they have every single time before. So I'm not saying it's not warranted, but that this is a completely unique situation. This has never happened ever before in the history of the U.S. economy.
Though? What makes it unique?
During so we were supposed to go into recession starting in 2020 or in a very close proximity to the beginning of 2020. COVID hitting just kind of like immediately put us into a recession, right? The moment that you shut everything down, they essentially
And then they printed money.
orchestrated a recession. And then what they did to fix the problem was, as opposed to the overly accommodative stuff that they used to do in the past, where, interest rates were 5%, so we'll cut it a quarter point today, and then we'll cut it a half point next month, and then they just went, okay, down to zero, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they printed 4 trillion, and then another 3 trillion, and then I think another 2 trillion over the top of that. They essentially expanded the money supply faster than at any time in history. They printed, essentially, of all of the money that's in circulation, and most of it is not paper money. Like 99% of it's all digital bullshit money, right? Uh, they expanded it by over 40% in a period of like 6 months, right? That you can't unwind that without pain. You just can't. That's a situation that causes so much malinvestment. Are you familiar with the phrase malinvestment?
I'm assuming it's bad, like the French word.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It is bad. It is when so much money and credit is available, people invest in stupid
things.
shit, right? And so that's why we have like tons of these zombie companies that exist right now that are paying people inflated wages. But the only reason why they can stick around isn't because they're good at the business that they're in or that they're a viable company. They just continue to be able to borrow to make payroll and continue to operate. And
then they just go bankrupt.
Well, that's the other thing. We're not near the bottom until you start seeing large scale bankruptcies. We haven't seen any.
I thought Bed Bath & Beyond.
No, like, yeah, but they've been dying for 20 years. I'm talking about like companies that you would not expect.
Did you say the Swiss bank or something?
Yes. So Credit Suisse and Deutsche Bank, or as the Maverick of Wall Street calls it, douche bank. Both of them are to the point where their valuations and people making bets on them going bankrupt, the valuations are extremely depressed because people that are in the know not to buy their stock or give them debt. And the bets against them, meaning that they'll go bankrupt, are beginning to get bigger and bigger every single day. So much so that today there was crazy stuff where the European Union was all of a sudden, oh, we're going to issue debt that's not just like right now, each one of the countries issues like French debt or German debt, or they were like, no, we're going to issue European debt. Right. And immediately the stock market starts to tank because they're like, you guys are shitty at managing money. Why would you ever like do that? Like, especially if you were France or Germany who are just kind of like holding on right now.
And then you have to deal with the other countries that are.
There's countries in there that essentially are bankrupt now. And again, they're just afloat. Like, that's the other thing. Until you see another sovereign debt crisis, this thing isn't over, right? Because countries also have never been more indebted than at any time in history, and they jacked it up during COVID.
So when we talk about financially planning for the apocalypse, when you say the apocalypse, what does that mean? What are you defining that as?
Well, I'm playfully using that
financial apocalypse.
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't get this bad, but the most pessimistic people are essentially saying that we're not headed for a recession. We're headed for the 1930s again. Right. The Great Depression.
How many people are saying that?
The number of people grows every single day, with every single day that inflation stays high and the Federal Reserve has more and more pressure to raise interest rates even more than they have.
What is the guy from the 2008 Barry? What is he?
Oh, Michael Burry? Yeah, no, he was completely in cash like 3 or 6 months ago. He believes that this is probably going to be like 2008, but worse. He thinks it's going to be a financial crisis. Real estate has already started to top in terms of real estate prices, in terms of like buying and selling real estate. Rent has not topped yet. There's still a number of areas where rent is still continuing to go up.
So once it hits top, what does that even mean?
Well, so then asset values begin to drop, right? There's a wealth effect in the economy where if your home value is doing well, if it's going up or if it's just maintaining its value, if your stock portfolio is maintaining its value or going up, you'll continue to spend because you feel good about your net worth. You feel like you have money, right?
If your house is losing,
if your house starts to lose value,
then you're just, oh crap.
There's a mental switch there that happens.
Well,
right?
Yeah, because the house is supposed to be a massive investment.
Yes, yeah. And people also open their 401k statements because a lot of people only look at these things like quarterly, right?
Yeah.
And they will be getting them the first couple of weeks of October of this month,
And they
and
won't have looked at them
they're
since the summer.
they won't have looked at them since the summer, where we actually had a bear market rally during the summer. So it made things look not as bad. Now we've come all the way back down from that rally and we're actually even lower. So they're going to look at their 401ks and they're going to go, holy crap, I'm down 35%, right?
Yeah.
Depending on what their asset allocation is, 40%. And then they could just be like, you know what? Dump it all, right? Like I don't want to lose the rest. And that's usually when that big crash happens, when everyone just says, we're running for the exits. In the real estate market, you can also end up with insolvencies, and you can end up with people that can't make their mortgage payments, especially if we hit a recession because they lose their jobs. You end up with foreclosures. I actually think what's going to happen before the real estate problem, that's going to be like the first set of dominoes, is going to be credit cards and then auto loans. Those two things are going to be the first.
Talking about how expensive cars are now.
I
we don't know because we don't pay on our cars anymore.
There's videos
Ours are paid off.
There's videos of people bragging about paying $1,200 a month for their car.
I don't know who does that. That's unless you're living in it.
Well,
like if you're living in it, that's your rent.
No, guaranteed. They're paying $1,200, and it's like a family. So like one car's $1,200, the other one's $800, so they're paying $2,000 a month for car payments.
Is that because the prices of
plus
cars
a mortgage,
plus
everything, right?
I don't think everyone's paying that much. That's a little insane.
Not everyone, but you got to remember that
buying Teslas and stuff.
There's a large turnover rate in vehicles in the United States, and so a lot of people took their stimulus checks and they went out. This is the most insane thing I've ever heard. There's a bunch of negative amortization auto loans that are out there. Negative amortization is when you have a car that you're currently paying on and you're only a couple years into paying it. And so you're still underwater, right? Yeah. Because your car depreciates a lot faster than your loan goes down. So you might owe 4, 5, 6, 7 grand more than the car's worth. So what they did was they took their stimulus checks, they went into the auto dealer and they said, hey, I want a new car, but I got this other car that I owe like $7,000.
So they just put it on the price?
They just rolled the $7,000 into the new loan.
Why would you do that? That's awful.
Because
they just want
auto dealers don't give a crap. Banks don't give a crap. They just want to lend the money out, right? And when you get into a situation where there's so much money printing and the interest rates are so low and credit's so available, you get this malinvestment, this really bad decision-making process that happens. So you have people that are paying on cars that they'll never get even on.
How many people are doing that though? I feel like that's crazy. That's not.
I think you underestimate the impulsiveness of the average consumer, because the average consumer does not. The average consumer gives their money to someone that they don't know.
Yeah, their entire
and then they
savings.
Yeah, and then they just go, okay, you handle it.
Yeah,
right. Just make me money or whatever. Right. They don't really get that deep into the thought process,
So you think it'll be car loans, credit card debt?
Those will be the
People
fastest.
Will just continue racking credit card debt up, like I guess through the Christmas season.
Maybe. You're already starting to see some cracks where companies, their revenue numbers have looked better than everyone thought they would be, but it's purely because of inflation, because they're increasing the prices. So the revenue they're bringing in is higher, but they're not selling as many things.
Yeah.
Which means people are already starting to cut back. The poorest among us in this country have already been in a recession. They've been in it for probably 12 months. Whereas the rest of us, like middle class, it's just starting to hit, right? And people in the middle class are starting to, if they were shopping at Target or Walmart or whatever, they've moved down. They're buying store brand or they're buying from Dollar General.
Dollar General, which is awful.
Well, product-wise or quality of the food-wise, yeah.
Really bad.
There's actually another guy I follow. His name is Economic Ninja. And he's talked about the fact that grocery store, like people will starve even though grocery stores have food on the shelves. And the reason why is because in an environment like we're going into, when people are losing their jobs, there's lots of unemployment. There's a lot of people that basically either, lose their homes, their cars, things like that. The food that they're going to be buying is the lowest price food, right? They're gonna go back to rice and beans and soup and things like that, right? Um, all of that stuff, the grocery store won't be able to get enough of it. There will be a huge demand for it, and people will be buying the cheap stuff on the
Right.
shelves. All the expensive stuff will just sit there, and like every so often, someone who has
We'll come get it.
assets will come in and buy stuff. There will be steak, there will be eggs and things like that. But people just the people that are the least fortunate won't be able to afford anything other than the cheap stuff, and the cheap like top ramen and things like that won't be like you'll have people waiting in a line in order to get that stuff because they'll be waiting for the truck to take the top ramen box off of the back of the truck to then grab as many top ramen as they can because it's the cheapest calories that they can get, right?
Yeah.
Which also doesn't bode well for health and stuff, but we can
Yeah.
talk about that in a later time. So we're entering this kind of really scary phase of the economy.
But we don't know when. It's
let me hedge a little bit. I'll tell you that. So we have an inflation number coming out on Thursday. If it comes out hot,
What does hot mean?
meaning they're anticipating that inflation year over year will only be 8.1%. Okay. And that will mark a 0.2%
Does that mean 8.1%
decrease
every year?
Yeah, like on an annual rate.
What?
Yeah. So from 12 months prior, so the inflation number will be based off of September's data. So September of 2021 till now,
Should only be
8.1% increase.
And that's okay?
It's better than the 8.3 that we got the month before.
Right.
Okay. If the number comes in higher than 8.1,
That's hot.
all hell is going to break loose because everyone is anticipating that the Fed is collapsing the economy and that inflation should come down
Right.
like pretty quickly. I've heard people say that inflation is going to come down pretty quickly. When you get inflation like this, it doesn't come down quickly. It gets extremely sticky.
Yeah.
Because once the mindset starts to like sink into people that like when you get 12 months of bad inflation data, people are like, all right, well, whatever. In 12 months, it'll probably go back down, right?
Yeah.
When you start getting into that 15th, 16th, 17th month of inflation, which by the way, we've had inflation over the 2% target for going on 2 years now.
Yeah.
Right.
This is at 8%.
So when people see that in that 15th, 16th, 17th month, all of a sudden they go, holy crap, we need to buy as much as we can because this isn't going away. Right. And so they might actually rush out and inflation might go up again because people will run out and grab all the stuff on the shelves.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like they did with the toilet paper and stuff during COVID.
We did with grains and beans. And
yeah, but people aren't doing that. This is going to be one of the things I'm going to say is on the checklist, but people aren't thinking that far in advance. They don't think that way. They think in terms of like, let me go run out and
fill my tank.
Not just fill my tank. They're going to go out and they're going to be like, they're going to keep their tank topped off because they're like, okay, well, I got the cheap gas in the tank. It went down a gallon. If I only buy a gallon
I was
high,
like,
right?
Oh, if it's going to go up, should I go fill the tanks
Yeah.
even though they're not ready?
Yeah. Or they'll hoard it. Like that's the other thing. When you get into these crises, people hoard stuff.
So you should get gasoline for the snow thing.
Okay. A couple of gallons of gas ain't going to be a big deal right now. But so Thursday, if the number comes out hot, all hell breaks loose because then all of the people that have been anticipating that inflation was going to come down fast, their thesis is going to be completely wrong. It's going to be obliterated. And now the Fed might even have to raise rates higher faster than they have been, which has been the fastest.
I don't know.
On record.
I still think something's going to happen with this whole election that they're going to try to throw a big old wrench in.
So here's the hedge, right? If they do decide to cook the books, if they doctor the number, I mean, first of all, people might not be great with finances, but they know when they're being lied to. And so when if all of a sudden they throw in like some kind of red herring where they're like, oh, inflation only went up 6%. They're like, are you stupid? You know how much I just paid for eggs and milk and
I'm saying
and gas? Like,
with
no way.
With an election
right?
coming up and the state of our country right now, with everything with the Ukraine, like the freaking nuclear war and shit that's going on, like they have to do something. I mean, so you said yourself. Well,
so here's the hedge. Okay. if they step in and do something, they're not going to stop raising interest rates.
No.
They're not. They've already said it. They're not going to stop increasing interest rates until we're basically already in a recession, right?
Yeah.
And the Fed always overdoes it. So we'll probably be in a recession. The other thing to remember is you don't know you're in a recession until 6 months in,
Yeah.
because you have to show 2 negative GDP prints with declining earnings and declining employment. Like, they don't know they're in a recession for 6 months. The Fed could be increasing interest rates for 6 months into a recession.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means the fallout's going to be even worse. All right. Say that they doctor the number, right? And Thursday and Friday is stock market euphoria and yay, inflation's coming down, all this other stuff. It will probably, we'll get a bear market rally and people will put money to work and it'll be a sucker's rally, because what's going to happen is, no matter what, the writing's on the wall. The Fed increasing interest rates so aggressively over the past 4 or 5 months means that in probably May, June of 2023, we're still getting a whopper of a recession. It's coming, right?
Yeah,
Like,
because they've been raising those rates.
the
and
only
we're in the middle of the recession.
the only question is, do we get to take a breather before that recession hits, or do we just keep raising interest rates into the recession?
Yeah.
My primary thesis is, I think we don't get any breather. I think the market just keeps teetering down, teetering down, teetering down. It's going to collapse, okay? And then normally when it collapses, the Fed like does some kind of intervention and we get some like snapback rally that happens. I don't even think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is we're going to collapse and then we're just going to sit around the bottom for a couple of years while the Fed keeps interest rates at a certain point before inflation is actually under control. I know it's an extremely pessimistic view, right?
It is.
But plan for the worst, hope for the best, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of the things that we've done to,
we did the
to
food
prepare?
thing.
Okay. So what's the food thing?
We went and got all these buckets of grains and beans.
Yes.
Which actually we've been using. So
Yeah.
it's not really that good of a plan.
No, we use it a little bit. We'll end up, we'll probably end up buying more too.
We'll fill them up as they get low.
Because believe it or not,
rice.
Inflation is coming back in those things. So
So we got rice, pinto beans, black beans, garbanzo beans, flour, oatmeal.
Yep. So we have a bunch of grains as well as
dog food. Cat food.
We bulked up on dog food and cat food. We wanted to make sure that we had calories in the house that we could easily get to and not have to worry about.
And they're all organic. They're all organic, and they were really well priced. Because like you go to Costco and get like big things of rice, they're not organic, and they're
this was cheaper.
Expensive. This was like
this was cheaper than Costco.
Yeah, it was. It ended up being better.
And
in the end,
the one recommendation I would have
and we
is
use rice like all the time.
Make sure if you're using storage buckets for that kind of food, make sure it's food grade so that it doesn't have the plastic with the chemicals in it, because a lot of buckets are not food grade and they're usually either coated with or processed with chemicals that are not good to eat. So make sure they're food grade. Make sure they have the sealing top to them. And the other thing is we have the little silica packets in there that essentially absorb moisture so that it doesn't end up clumping or going bad.
And honestly, like I think like when I make the hummus from the dried garbanzo beans, it's so much better.
Well, yeah.
Or like I made the dried black beans in the Instant Pot. And you think you have to soak your beans overnight, but you don't with the Instant Pot. And it was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah. It's the other thing it compels you to do is cook at home as well, which is going to be another major thing. We are working on getting every single dollar of debt off of the books.
We should have it off by January.
Yeah.
Right?
The worst debt that you can have right now is anything that it has an adjustable rate. Okay.
We have one thing.
Credit cards.
But
most auto loans aren't adjustable rate; they're fixed. But credit card, any kind of line of credit that you have somewhere, anything that's adjustable. If you have an adjustable rate mortgage, it might suck, but you might be better off refinancing if you could swing it right now, even at 7% interest rates.
Didn't they say that when we called? So we have a line.
A lot of banks have stopped.
They stopped
refinancing.
giving refinancing to these things.
Yeah.
So you might be screwed.
Yeah. So adjustable rate mortgages are going to be a big issue. Those will be an issue later on. The credit card interest rates reset almost monthly with the Fed. Sometimes, if you're lucky, your credit card company only readjusts them like annually, but they want their money. So, but yeah, I think those are going to be a bigger issue first, and then you'll end up getting the other stuff. Any variable rate student loans, like this is really awful because we have this debt tsunami that's about to hit with all this adjustable rate stuff. So if you had a federal loan, your federal loan was fixed rate,
Right.
right? Even if you consolidated it and
It stayed fixed
refinanced
rate.
it stayed fixed rate. All the private ones, or most of the
Is
private
that Sally
ones,
Mae?
so
Or
yeah,
Sally Mae
a
got
lot of
back
these
in?
companies, Mohila, Sally Mae, Citibank used to do a ton of them. Chase, all of these companies, they do both. So a lot of times they'll have a federal one, and then there's only a limit as much as you
They
can
should
only
let
take out a certain
people
amount
go
of federal.
bankrupt for school loans.
That's been the answer all along, and they still refuse to do it because it's such big
I
business
guess
for
because
these
they
companies.
figure everyone will just go bankrupt before they get a life, right? Like,
Well, the problem is even if you go bankrupt on everything else, like student loans also follow you to the grave. I mean, like people who are your heirs or whatever, you're still stuck. You can't dispose of them.
it's
It's
so
crazy.
ridiculous.
So the private ones are adjustable. Most of the private ones, and so there are people out there that have $100,000-$200,000 in private student loans. Those rates are going to adjust higher really quickly, and they're not going to be able to pay that plus their mortgage plus their car loan plus their credit cards. Like they're not going to be able to
Insurance,
it. Yeah.
everything.
So as much as you can, get away from adjustable rate debt, and if you are on track to get out of debt completely, I think that is a huge
Yeah, if we
deal
can,
right
like
now.
we've really been working on it. But we have one adjustable debt. We have a line of credit
Yeah.
that we've been paying down in chunks, and I think we'll probably finish it off next January.
Yeah,
But ours doesn't recompute till January. I don't think.
once we take one more distribution from the qualified stuff, we'll end up paying that stuff off.
But we got rid of all. We're like on the way to get rid of all. What did you? You should say what that creepy school loan company did to you. That shit's creepy.
Oh no. I mean, they sell your indebtedness all the time.
But then they don't tell you,
Yeah.
and you have no clue. Like we are trying to pay off his debt, and they said, "Oh, it's all paid off." But it's been paid off since like the beginning of the year, the beginning of 2021.
Yeah, we called the company that we're
And we're
working
like,
with, and they go, "Oh, well, yeah, it's all paid off. It's taken care of as of January of
Yeah.
last year, whatever." And what they didn't tell us, and I guess what they were uninformed about, was another company came in and basically bought,
but never told us. We have no clue.
Yeah, so they, like, servicing companies, debt servicing companies do this stuff all the time. It happens in mortgages too. A lot of times, like if
People
you
buy
get
your mortgage.
yeah, a lot of times if you
And
like
then you
get
don't
your
know-
mortgage from one of these companies, a lot of times they just then sell the mortgage to someone else, and it's a way of them like kind of like moving around stuff on their books, especially if they get like too heavy.
I mean,
on
for
a
them
certain
not
type of
to
debt or
tell
something.
you for a year that they sold your credit. I mean, that's just crazy. Like
Yeah.
you don't even know who you're supposed to be paying, and it's just sitting out there, and no one's contacted you.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Well,
that's really creepy.
No, I'm pretty sure they've been trying to contact me, but if
But
it comes
on
with
a
an unlisted
phone,
number or something, I'm
like,
like,
yeah,
no,
like, who answers that? And
So-
they don't. Do they leave messages?
no.
So
no,
they don't
never
leave a
got one.
message. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, I know.
That's creepy and stalkerish in
Yeah.
a weird fucking way.
But for them, they don't care because I mean it's debt that doesn't die, right? So they'll keep calling, and if they get some money, then fantastic, it's a win for them. If they don't, they can just then sell it to someone else who'll chase you,
who doesn't
right?
tell you, and then
But so yeah, get rid
debt.
of especially variable rate debt. If you can handle, a fixed rate mortgage or something, that's fine. Remember that you have to have a safety fund, right? So you have to have a couple of months of money stored up. So just in case you have an accident, a health issue, something like that, and you have to be able to pay your bills. In fact, during times like this, the standard like 3-month safety fund should really be more like 6 or 9 months of bills. And if you look at your monthly bills and you're like, wow, I can't cover that much for 6 months or 9 months, you probably need to cut down on some of your monthly bills. Like, it seems stupid, but like, the $15 you're paying for Netflix, they're going to go to an ad-based model. So, maybe you should go look at that because that's free. Anything that you can do to trim your monthly expenses, if you're really kind of counting pennies, you need to be doing now, because in addition to paying off debt, and this is like a Herculean task, you also have to raise cash. You have to have a cash cushion in place. Now, in addition to kind of like
Taking
the
your last
standard,
one.
you're stealing my last Twizzler.
Uh-huh.
In addition to the standard kind of like cash deposit account or whatever with the bank, which by the way, it might become one of those times when you might want to take your money out of the banks too
I don't
at some
trust
point.
banks. I don't know. I feel like at one point
I mean, they're FDIC insured. So, and I believe the FDIC insurance goes up to like $250 now per person on the account.
I don't trust anything. Is FDIC have the word federal in it?
Yeah, so
and I don't fucking trust it.
I
don't trust
I'm
it.
with you. I'm with you.
Uh-uh.
I don't feel comfortable having $500,000 worth of cash in the house though. But so that being said,
where you do it.
That being said, you should have a savings account, okay, that is there just in case, right? Like that's your emergency fund to pay monthly bills and stuff like that. We also got cash out of the bank. All right. Why do you think I don't think you wanted to go get cash out, but why do you think I requested that you get cash out of the bank? Oh, now you can throw me on the bus. All right, go ahead. I called the guy.
You
Just remember this.
Ask for cash. He asked for singles, fives.
Yes. This is very important. Why?
So here I am, the asshole at the bank going, can I have thousands of dollars? Singles?
We're going to the strip club. Yeah.
I sat there for 50 minutes.
Yeah. So
and we called in advance.
Why? I called in advance. They were supposed to have straps of singles and straps of fives available, right? If you're gonna go get cash out of the
everything
bank,
under 100.
Yeah. You don't want hundreds, okay? And technically you typically don't want 50s either, but a couple of 50s is fine. But 20s, fives, and singles, okay? And it should be a decent amount of money. Like it should be whatever you can pull out of the bank, again, to have as kind of like an insurance policy. So why do you think I wanted ones and fives and 20s?
Like I'm assuming small transactions.
Small transactions, exactly. But like why? What would necessitate having singles and fives to do a transaction? Under what circumstance do you think that would be important?
I don't know.
All right. So
going to the strip club.
It definitely makes you very popular at the strip club. In crises, okay, whether it's a financial crisis, actually a hallmark of financial crisis is bank runs, right? So if
everyone wants their cash.
Yeah, if you need to go get cash out, you can't. Most people don't understand. Like I was a bank manager for a number of years. Most people think there's a gigantic Fort Knox style vault in the back that has like millions of dollars. It does not, right? If a bank has 10 or 20 or $30 million in deposits, what the actual cash on hand at the bank is probably less than $500,000. And in most cases, probably less than $100,000 because they get a cash delivery pretty much every day, every other day. Okay. And so they just have to cover 1 or 2 days of cash transactions. All the rest of the money in the financial system basically changes hands digitally. Right. And so they don't have to keep that deposit on hand.
Checks going into
It's all just kind of moving zeros and ones back and forth between accounts, right? So a hallmark of financial crises are bank runs. You've already seen them in China. Sri Lanka fell. They had bank runs before that happened because of the inflation crisis there. So you need to have cash. On top of that, if there is rioting, if there's a natural disaster, if you lose power, okay, you need cash on hand and you need them.
Definitely need to get a coffee.
Well, you need them in ones and fives because when that happens, the cash register might not be working or the credit card processor might have lost power and isn't working. Okay. And so now you have to still try and do business. All right.
That's totally apocalyptic outside of like the financial crisis.
Well,
like what if there's a tsunami from the Atlantic Ocean and everything goes under?
We're going to have to dog paddle a lot.
And all the credit machines are down.
The one guy who operates the Starbucks on a boat is going to make millions. So you have to be able to transact business. So if you go to buy a coffee and it's like, $5.25 because we live in New Jersey and things are ridiculously expensive.
$6.78.
So as if it's $6.78. Okay.
I thought we were getting rid of pennies like decades ago.
Well, they've been trying, and actually this financial crisis might spell the end of actual physical cash. But the reason why, at least in the near term, you need it is because that $6.78 coffee, if you can't swipe your card and it's not working, you can always give them a 5 and 2 ones and say, keep the change, right? If you just have 20s or hundreds and you're buying a $6.78 cup of coffee, you're not going to give them a $100 bill and say, keep the change.
If we go to digital,
yeah,
does that mean money will be worthless?
It's a very good question. So here's the other thing. You don't want all of your net worth in cash.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's that possibility where it won't happen overnight, but we can go from, look, the dollar's actually been deflationary during this inflationary crisis. It's just been less inflationary than all the other countries because we're the world reserve currency. We export our inflation to other countries. And when things go south, they buy dollars. So there's actually also a dollar shortage. So believe it or not, another reason why I wanted to do Giga Cash was because it's entirely possible that we could only have digital dollars. There won't be cash dollars available. That will be the gateway to going to central bank digital currency, right? Because they'll be like, well, it's all digital now anyway, so we might as well just control it all from the Fed.
But then dollars are meaningless.
Well, physical dollars, right? Which is why you don't take all of your money out in cash and put it in the mattress. You need some cash on hand in the event of something like that. So that then transitions to the next thing is gold and silver, things that have physical value and can actually be used as currency in a pinch. Because
where does crypto sit on this?
We'll get to it, but so crypto is also another piece of it, right? I think there's a lot of people out there that are maximalists on any of these things, and I think they're right to have faith in each one of these things,
but maybe not 100%.
I think they're wrong to not be diversified, right? There are tons of people that sunk their life savings into Bitcoin. Not only is Bitcoin tanking because it's based off of the money supply and inflation right now, because of how much Wall Street is involved in Bitcoin's price, but on top of that, they weren't diversified. So had they been holding some cash, had they been holding some gold and silver, had they been holding some Bitcoin, had they had some real estate, like all of those things would have come together to make it so that it softens the blow a little bit, right? But yeah, before we talk about Bitcoin, gold and silver is a big component here too. And so I'm actually very closely watching the price of gold and silver, because if we hit deflation, which I think is happening before we hit a higher level of inflation, when the bank then reacts in a year or two, okay, the price of gold and silver will trail down. It won't get hit as much as the market. So like if the stock market goes down another 30 or 40%, I would not anticipate gold and silver to drop 30 or 40%. I would think that it will drop 10, 15, 20%.
And that's when you buy it.
Yeah, you stack those coins as it falls, right? So probably starting in January.
You're not saying to go on the stock market and buy gold. You're saying to go buy gold coins.
I'm saying go to gold dealers or call them up, okay? And here's something that you have to understand. Gold dealers charge a premium. They charge a premium on coins because they're at risk because the price fluctuates, right? So if they bought it at the price that it was today, and then tomorrow it goes down, they lost money, right? So they actually charge you a premium. Some of them charge you a ungodly premium, and then some of them charge you a very minor premium. The same goes if you're trying to sell your coins and trade it in for cash. Is sometimes they'll give you near spot or maybe even a little bit above spot, depending on what kind of coins you have, or they'll give you less. And in some cases, a lot less, like 89 or 90% of what the spot price is that day, which is a huge decrease in the total amount that you thought you had in value. It's just a dynamic, but you have to go out and poll different gold and silver dealers to make sure you're finding out the right one. Just don't go to the guy down the street and think you're getting the best deal because he's down the street, right? You got to go and get recommendations.
For a good pawn shop, right?
I follow Silver Seeker on YouTube. He's actually a really good dude.
Like, in this thing, all the different
channels. Yeah,
I love the Maverick.
I will probably,
what is he called? The Maverick of Wall Street.
Of Wall Street.
I think
he's fantastic.
How does he start his thing every time?
Oh no, no. He's all right, or something like yeah.
I enjoy listening to him, and Listen, I think he's really interesting. And I understand what he says from a simple mind. Like, I don't think of finance in the same way.
Yeah.
But I can follow him.
Yeah, he's very good at
And
explaining.
yeah, and so I totally understand. And he uses graphs and stuff, but also humor.
Yeah.
And so if you are like me and you want to understand, the Maverick is a great one. And I enjoy his show. I ask you every day what he's saying.
He's good. He doesn't talk necessarily about physical assets so much. He talks mostly about stock market. He talks about the economy. He's based in economics, so he's a classical economist. I don't know if I would necessarily consider him an Austrian, because his economic understanding is of the current economy that we have, that's based off of all this debt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, again, you have to have a diverse set of voices that you're listening to.
I
Because
just
not
think
all
he's
of them
very
are right all the time.
easy to
Yes.
understand.
Yeah.
And he takes bigger concepts.
So he does a good job. Silver Seeker does an absolutely great job of talking about these different dynamics, how to stack silver, basically things that you can do to free up. I mean, like right now, an ounce of silver is probably like $19. Maybe it's a little bit more than $19. Sell something in your house. If you get $40, you can buy 2 ounces of silver. Right. Get a part-time job. If you get $100, put $50 in silver.
Many
or
people
gold, right?
who do reselling. It's insane.
Yeah, flipping is a big deal right now.
Thrift stores, they go to garage sales, and they flip, and it's like their full-time job, and they're making a shit ton of money on it.
Well,
and
yeah.
I'm like, I can't stand sales, so I don't know how they do it.
Yeah,
it's not like, for me, it sounds like a horrible day, but some people love it. Well, and really get into it.
It's analytical, because you have to know what you're buying, first of all, and then you have to understand what the market is for it. So you're doing a lot of research, and then also you have to stay organized in terms of your inventory.
Single moms and stuff doing this, like
I go and if you can pick up a side hustle like that,
if you have the intuition and you naturally pick up the right things, like Amy.
Mm-hmm.
So she has been going to thrift stores for a while. She has almost the entire Star Wars 1977 cards. They're selling for like $40,000 a card or something. She picked it up for and then she has
the whole set.
I forget, but it's like insane amount of money. And one of them is like sealed, so it's almost like a wild card.
Yeah.
I mean, she probably could sell $100,000 this year just in the stuff she's picked up. And stupid shit that she pays 17 cents for, $1 for. She just randomly goes, that looks like it's worth something, tosses it into a box, and then once a year pulls the box out and goes, I wonder how much this is worth.
Yeah.
And like, she just has the gut.
Yeah.
Like, if you have the gut for, like, I never get the right, like, I go on a sales rack and I look for a second and I'm like, I can't
compute, right?
It's not like in the sizes. I want to kill myself. Yeah. Like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
It's not in my cards.
Yeah.
But I know so many people who go in and they get these senses about things.
Yeah.
And then they've got, I mean, one of the things she had was, oh my God, she had so much stuff. She has the Princess Diana Beanie Baby with all of its tags on it. Okay. I don't know where she found this, but it's thousands of dollars. Like, what?
So if I could warn her, those things will not be valuable.
Oh, so that's not a good job.
No, it's a fine job if you're flipping.
If you want to go buy some silver, go find a 1977 Star Wars card, apparently.
Well, yeah, so you can flip and then do that kind of stuff. If you hold on to those things, a lot of times collectibles like that end up falling with the market. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad investment, because if the economy does end up coming back,
still have it.
Regardless of whether we're in digital currency world or if we still have physical currency, there will still be some value associated with that if and when the economy comes back. And I mean, I think we're going to not see the highs in valuations that we have now for probably at least another 10, 15 years. I think it's gonna be a long time before we're back to where we are now. But
and if you think about like kids' ages, right? Like, we have kids who all were highly affected by coronavirus. Like, we have young kids, right? So like Piper's whole life, pretty much, when she was really like getting to that age of interaction, had nothing, because it was coronavirus when she was 2.
Yeah.
Right. And then our daughter went through all of her tweens
Yeah.
like 10 to 13 with coronavirus. Or I mean, like
Where are
it
you going
fucked
with this?
them up. What I'm saying is now the stock market for 10 years
Oh, yes,
is gonna be shit.
yeah.
Like, what kind of childhood is that?
Yeah. Well,
But that's what I'm saying.
no,
like,
I don't even think they're gonna care too much about that.
But
I
10
think,
years, she's gonna be 23.
well, yeah, but
You know,
I
you think about that.
I mean, we already have, millennials and Gen Z have already, lived through some of these things. They've seen their parents live through 2008 and 2009. It sucks, but in the same respect, it also kind of hardens you in a way, right? Like it gives you some kind of understanding. So much so that Gen Z seems to be more financially conservative than millennials and their predecessor generations, right? Which is going to help them. But so anyway,
I don't know where I was going. But
so silver and gold, physical,
Oh.
actual assets are going to be extremely important as well, because again, they can be used to trade or do business with in a non-digital
they have a
world.
standard, unlike the dollar, right? I feel like the gold, like you used to have the gold standard.
Well, there's a spot price, not to mention the fact that if things transpire the way that I and a lot of people think they're going to transpire, will go deflationary, which means gold and silver will lose value. But then once the Federal Reserve turns the printing press back on, they will escalate in value very quickly.
Yeah.
And so it's a hedge against future inflation. It's something to do business with for the right people that will accept gold and silver. If there's geopolitical risk, rioting, natural disaster,
I don't know anyone
EMP,
who's like,
cyber attack, things like that,
piece.
right? We need to hang out. Actually,
listen to me. I have a gold piece worth this much.
No,
Can I get that?
No, I've got my gold back here from New Hampshire. So anyone who's unfamiliar, New Hampshire actually has look, Dimitri says gold backs look like they're going to be incredibly valuable. This is a $1 gold back from New Hampshire.
It looks like plastic.
Well, yeah. So this is actually backed up by gold. So they actually have a vault that holds gold that backs up every single gold back that's printed. And so
really
it's
like the picture too.
Yeah, it's a return to actual sound money, right? This is a claim to gold, right? And so at any point in time, like we could trade it. If you had a coffee, I could give you this, and I could get my coffee. You could get this. But if at any point in time, either one of us that has this wants the gold, we could go hand it in and go get the gold back, right?
But what I'm saying is, I don't think I could go to Smart World and be like, "Hey, Dave."
Well, no.
Maybe he would. He's from Vermont.
No, you need to know who will actually accept it, but you also have to understand. You also have to understand that in financially dire circumstances, a lot of people that normally wouldn't have been willing to deal in gold and silver will be very readily willing to deal in gold and silver.
I mean, I see it. I'm just saying, I mean, we have like we want instantaneous things in our culture.
Yeah, that's going to change. Our culture, the standard of living that a lot of people are used to, the largesse and the consumerism and the impulsive spending and things like that, that's going to change.
As far as apocalyptic getting through it, we were kind of talking about the whole 2027 thing.
Yeah.
And, you're talking food, but we also were gardening. That was also kind of along with food.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, let's talk about that in 1 second. I want to also talk about why you want the physical gold and silver. A gold back is fine because you know that there's actually a bank holding the gold and silver. But physical gold and silver is important because the paper markets for gold and silver, like if you were to
told me this
is insane. If you're unaware, so physical gold and silver that's actually in vaults, financial companies that set up, say, like ETFs, like exchange traded funds, or other kind of paper, what's considered a claim on the gold. What they've done is the same thing that kind of the banks do with cash, right? They have 20 million in deposits. They only have 100,000 in the vault. Yeah. Okay. Well, why can they do that? Because they figure, we only have to cover the daily float of cash that people transact with at the teller's desk or whatever, right? The same thing is true of gold and silver. So of all the ounces of gold and silver that are sitting in vaults, the paper market probably has, and it's estimated in between 4 and 20 claims
on one thing,
on every 1 ounce of gold or 1 ounce of silver that's sitting in there.
20 people have the claim to the same gold.
And so if there's a run, and you're not the first one in line, you're not getting your gold and silver.
Yeah, you
And
got
so
it.
there are a couple of institutions that are out there. Actually, if you watch Joe Brown and Heresy Financial's channel, he advocates for a place that you can buy physical gold and silver, and as opposed to taking possession of it, they will hold actual gold and silver and show it to you. Like, this is your gold and silver. It's in our vault. Like, we're holding it under your name, 1-to-1, no multiple claims on it. But the marketplace, at least the paper marketplace for gold and silver, is completely out of whack because you
You
have
told me
all
that the
these
other
different
day.
claims on it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So definitely you want physical possession of it. If you don't have physical possession of it, you have to make sure that the custodian that's holding the gold and silver is reputable, and they're not doing that sordid shit where they're, putting 20 claims on the 1 ounce of gold that you also have a claim on, and then you're gonna have to fist fight 20
Yeah.
people for your ounce of gold, right? All right. So that's gold and silver. So you were talking about farming.
Oh, I
Okay.
just said we were gardening.
Yeah. So farming is a big thing. The one point I'd also make is people need to develop actual skills. Okay.
Skills.
And I'm not talking like this is a person who worked in the financial world. Moving a piece of paper from one side of your desk to the other, or knowing where to sign or check the box, that's not a fucking skill.
He knows
okay?
because he moved all kinds of wheelbarrows of dirt.
Yeah. Actual skills, actual productive skills that most people would find to be rudimentary and brutish and blue collar and stuff will become much more important and much more marketable. Okay. You're talking farming, you're talking if you can build things, you're talking about if you can make furniture.
The one thing we haven't done, and I really wanted to do, was the thing is when you get those like vegetable towers, like
Yeah.
I wanted to get a lettuce tower of some kind for the house for the winter because
like an indoor one.
Love salad.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of them use their own chemical blends and stuff, and then if that company goes down, so we have to figure out a way to do like a lettuce, like it under grow lights. Or
Yeah,
something.
we have a lot of stuff to figure out because I have to. We're also coming
we
up.
Love lettuce.
We're coming up. We're in fall. We're coming up on winter. I have to set up the garden for winter, so I have to pull out some plants. There's still some things I have to pull out. We actually have a couple of onions and some sweet potatoes and stuff like that we have to harvest.
His potatoes did not work out well this year.
The regular potatoes didn't. The sweet potatoes seem like they're pretty good, but I haven't pulled them out yet. But again, this is year one. We're learning, right? So I have to winterize the garden. I didn't plant any cold weather crops. And I specifically did that because I still need more work in working out the layout and then planning out what the next planting season is going to look like.
Well, this year we started really late.
Yeah.
We had a ton of tomatoes, Jersey tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
And cucumbers and stuff, but like we started really late because it was just a weird year anyways. So next year you're going to do trees, right?
Yeah. So next year we did only we didn't really do any perennials.
I want lettuce in the house for the winter though.
Well, that's fine. You just got to remember that lettuce isn't a perennial. You have to continually replenish the.
Yeah, but I think you can take the bottom part and you can plant that so it constantly can.
Well, I mean, you can get lettuce seeds pretty easy. We can get heirloom lettuce seeds. It's just a matter of getting the growing conditions.
The hydroponic ones use. I don't know if anybody knows a good lettuce tower.
We can figure it out
of some kind. I don't want to use one that has like a proprietary chemical crap.
Yeah,
I don't want that.
Yeah,
I don't know how to do it otherwise.
So the other thing is that you alluded to is we have a lot of perennials that we're going to be looking at putting in this next year. Berry bushes, at least one, if not two nut bushes.
Yeah, you don't have to do it every year.
Yeah, we want stuff that produces every single year with a minimum amount of upkeep, right? The other thing is I hand watered everything this past year. That was a nightmare. So this next year, probably not before winter, but at the beginning of next growing season, I'm going to be putting out a drip line on all of the planting beds.
If you can have a good garden and you get your nutrients, and they're probably better off anyways growing in your own garden, you can get like all your vitamins and nutrients and then like back it up with like rice and beans and oatmeal and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like a really cheap way to go.
Well, there will still be food produced too. So but
if you're trying to stay under limits,
if you're a big meat eater, find like a dairy farm or a cattle farm, hopefully local, hopefully good quality, and then see if you can't work out a deal with them where you pay for, like, if you buy, a half or a quarter, right? Like a half of animal, a quarter of an animal. See if you can pay in gold or silver, right? Like, see if they'll take crypto for a payment,
The
because
other
that's a
thing
win-win.
we were talking about, which we haven't done yet, is we want to get a chest freezer. Is that what it's called?
This is, dude, Dimitri's teaching class here. Thought goldbacks were physical gold themselves that have been thinly laid and vacuum sealed between sheets of polymer.
Ooh, see, you don't know what you're talking
This
about.
could be true, but
It looks like it. It looks like gold leaf. That's what it looks like.
I was almost certain. I'm trying to see if
It
there's
looks like gold leaf. It's weird because it's definitely. Can you wipe it off, or is it between?
No, there's definitely like a coating on the outside of it, so it could also
in
be
between it. It looks like what gold leaf would look like.
So it could totally be that, and it's also only printed on one side, which kind of makes sense.
And that makes sense because who's keeping all of it somewhere?
Huh?
It makes sense because then who's keeping it all?
Well, I do know that there are essentially kind of like certificates of deposit that you can get,
but maybe not for the dollar.
But yeah, I mean,
and like maybe you have to have a certain level because it would be such a small part of like a gold.
I have research to do. I don't know, Dimitri, if you're from New Hampshire. I'll get someone from New Hampshire that is familiar with goldbacks, and we'll talk about them, how they came to be, and kind of what the deal is with those.
Wait, so what else would we do financially? I mean, we talked about food and gardening and gold and silver.
So have a skill.
Debt, have a skill.
And skills can take a number of different forms. So it's not just trade skills. It could also be loading ammunition. It could be good at self-defense, and able to teach people. Anything that is an actual skill. Okay. Again, there's a lot of bullshit jobs out there where people think they have a skill.
So, I mean, also, would you say along with that idea of having a skill to give would be to find like-minded people?
Yes, 100%.
Like community, like we've been finding some like anarchy people in our groups lately.
if you can find, and this is the basis of John Bush's Freedom Cells. So if you're not familiar with John Bush, his Freedom Cell network is something that's just an awesome machination.
You weren't feeling it.
No, it's not that I wasn't feeling it. It's just not popular in New Jersey. So he founded it in Texas. There's a number of Freedom Cells throughout a lot of the country. If you live in a state where there's not already Freedom Cells set up or people actively looking to start them, you're basically having to try and get it going, which doesn't mean that I won't. Like, I'm listed on the site, but we have to find some people, and they need to be fairly close to you because, again, you don't want to have to be driving 100 miles to get someone that needs help or get them to your place for help, right? But so the 100% accurate. You need other like-minded people that you can trust. Teach. They have different skills, right? And you have different skills, so now you're stronger together. And then on top of that, if you're going to trade and stuff like that, you can barter. You can use gold and silver. You can use other forms of payment,
barter
like Monero or BTC.
I really love the idea of bartering.
Yeah,
but it never works out when I see it in like groups that I'm in. They try to create barter groups.
It doesn't work out. It doesn't scale well. Again, that's the reason.
Because someone will want to give like fire cider, and the other person wants a massage, and then those things don't equal out.
Well, that's actually why currency was created, right? Like that's why money was created. So yeah, barter groups are difficult to scale, but if you do it on a low volume basis with these people that are looking eye to eye with you, it's a lot easier to manage that.
Well, I think bartering becomes more possible as financial shit gets thrown down the drain because people don't have the money. So then maybe they would give a massage for a fire cider or whatever it is.
Well, I interviewed Jeremiah last week, and we were talking about counter economics, and a major component of counter economics is alternative methods for paying for things. One of which being barter, another which being crypto.
Love the idea of barter, and I feel like. But, here I am as an artist, and I don't get to, like, I don't have that essential barter thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not,
You're saying what you have that you're offering isn't?
Yeah, it's not, maybe as a therapist.
But,
but as an artist, Like that's, you know,
Yeah,
it becomes ancillary.
I gotta be honest, if you were bartering, water pitchers that you made on your pottery wheel or whatever,
That would be
you'd
different.
probably find it easier to
I
find
don't.
in a world where especially with, say, like visual art or something like that, where value is very relative,
Yeah.
and there's not really necessarily like a use value. I'm not
It's
saying that
more
it's not
aesthetic
useful.
or
I'm saying there's not like a mechanical thing you use it for every single day. It's really difficult for people to wrap their heads around, giving
the
a high
value
amount
of
of
it.
value for something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's always the problem with the
Yeah.
arts. Okay, so what else would we
So let's talk about crypto. So crypto is going to have a similar dynamic to gold and silver.
But there's so many cryptos, coins.
You don't have to worry about that. We are focused on 3. Okay, there's 3 that's on our radar. There might be a couple of others that like we'll put some speculative money in to see if they take off, but really there's 3 that we're concerned with. It's Bitcoin, which is the granddaddy. It is Monero, which is actually I'll say 4 because Monero and R coin or Pirate coin are basically the same. They're privacy coins, so they have the highest level of encryption, and so when you're making payments or taking payments with them, it's much less likely that your identity gets attached to that transaction, right? So that's 3. The 4th one is Hive.
I really enjoy being on Hive lately.
Yeah,
I've been doing like some posts, and I just really have enjoyed doing
it. What has stuck out to you about Hive itself?
I just committed to making posts, and I don't like Facebook because I guess people know me.
Well, I think what you
I don't feel like I know. I live in a world of coming from art school and therapy school, and I'm just so far from the ideals of most of my friends that I appreciate them as people.
Yeah.
But we don't see eye to eye.
I think what you're gonna find on Hive, and I think both of us need to do this. We need to interact more.
I need to learn how to interact. I just know how to post.
No, I mean, like you can surf like the amount of time you spend surfing on like Facebook and stuff like that. You have to kind of reposition that and surf on Hive.
Find people. Hive on a phone, can you?
You can, yeah. There's actually an app. It's not Peakd, it's eSency.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
You could probably get into Peakd on your web browser on your phone, so that's a possibility. But so anyway, you and I have to do also a little bit more work going through other people's posts and communities and commenting on their posts, upvoting, providing your stuff, being like, oh, that's awesome. I wrote a post about it over here, because that's the way you end up building community. What you're going to find is that people on Hive are way more genuine than people on other social media platforms.
Well, I know that I see the posts and I read them, and I'm like, I really want to do something, but I don't know what all the symbols are, so I don't vote for them. But I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but if I did know, I would totally like vote for them. So you have to sit down with me, and like I've learned how to post.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to learn is how to do a video.
Yeah.
And then I need to learn how to comment and find things.
So anyone who's unfamiliar with Hive is it's a blockchain that also has a crypto called Hive. It's an offshoot of what was the one that they pulled off of? There was another very popular blockchain based social media platform, blogging platform that they essentially hard forked from, right? And Hive is very much a social media centric platform.
There's so many contests too. If you're artistic,
yeah,
there's so many like contests and like trying to get you involved and think about things and to post articles. It's so nice. It's so nice. Yeah. And I don't know anybody. I know my husband.
Yeah.
And I write these really, really crazy Akashic message things. So if I had done that on Facebook, people would be like, are you okay?
Yeah. You definitely get exposure. So it's very much a social media platform that essentially pays you for creating content.
But it's by upvoting.
Well, yeah, but if you think about it, the reason why Facebook and Twitter have the valuations that they have, it's not because of the algorithm, it's because of the content and the people that are there, right?
Yeah.
And so Hive's idea is that the people create the content, so the people should be the ones that benefit from
It's
the
so cool.
financial.
I suggest, I mean, he's the one who got me onto it. I don't know how he did it. It has all these key things that I just have a screenshot of, and otherwise I don't know what I'm doing. And I just keep it up.
Yeah.
I just don't ever turn it off.
So Hive's,
but it's so fun.
Hive's a
to go
fantastic
looking.
platform. We'll talk more about it. I've talked some on the channel about it. We'll continue to talk about it because it's evolving too. It's becoming a DeFi platform, which is decentralized finance, which is investment in more developments on the platform, as well as other things like, you know, staking money in order to make more crypto and things like that. But Hive's evolving. So yeah, we have 4 cryptos that we're kind of focused on. You might be able to throw in something like Bitcoin Cash as well, because that you can also transact in. But if you're transacting in Monero or Rcoin, and like you use Bitcoin Cash too, it's really easy to move stuff back and forth. And the one thing to remember with crypto is do not keep your money on an exchange. Okay. Hive stays on the Hive blockchain, but it does it intentionally, right? You can take it off and put it onto a cold storage wallet, but most people keep it on there and keep it staked because that gives you the power to upvote things more and have more input or be able to reward people more.
I see. I don't really understand that part.
We'll explain it in the future. But so any of the other cryptos that you might be buying into, do not keep them on exchanges, because one of the first areas to be hit during this financial crisis has been the crypto market space, specifically the exchanges. And there's been a number of exchanges that have essentially gone illiquid or bankrupt, and they confiscated or blocked people from being able to get to their crypto that was sitting on the exchange, which is downright criminal. But at the same time, you know, crypto is kind of like the wild, wild west. So it's buyer beware. I can tell you for a fact that the exchange that I use is KuCoin, KuCoin. Part of the reason why is the know your customer, or KYC, is less strict than other exchanges. But I do not keep crypto on the exchange. If I'm trading on the exchange, then the crypto's on the exchange. When it's not, it goes onto a cold storage wallet. And we can go through a tutorial on that one day. This is a Ledger X, I think. But yeah, the crypto goes onto a cold storage wallet and it's not on the exchange. So if the exchange goes down, you don't have to worry about losing your crypto or anything like that. There are some hot wallets that are fairly secure. A hot wallet, just as opposed to, so this is cold wallet, right? Because it's not on a computer or anything like that. Hot wallet is something that's basically online, that is not an exchange, but it's somewhere that you can hold your crypto.
Yeah.
The reason why it's hot is because it's on the actual digital platforms that you're doing things on. I would only really use hot wallets for a couple of things. One is decentralized finance. If you need the crypto available to do things like stake it or move it around into different projects, or if you are transacting and you have to do it through a hot wallet versus doing on a cold wallet for some reason, right? Sometimes there's proprietary wallets that have to be used. But besides that, I would always keep your crypto off of the platforms. And in fact, most large Bitcoin whales, most of their Bitcoin is off of the exchanges. And so much so that there's actually a lot of people that follow the flows of Bitcoin from whales that move onto exchanges, because they know something's going to happen when the whales start to move their crypto onto the exchanges, specifically Bitcoin or Ethereum. So yeah, so those are the 4, right? Bitcoin, Monero, Rcoin / Pirate Coin, and Hive. Those are the 4 that we're concerned with. And as Hive's actually held up extremely well during this.
I don't know, but I like, just for posting on Hive, if people upvote you, you make.
Oh yeah,
I mean, like, for me, I enjoy writing the post.
Well,
I have fun with it. It takes me 10 minutes.
Ask yourself
and
this:
I get like 10.
if every time you posted on Facebook,
I only
you
post
made
on Facebook once every.
no, I
2
understand.
months.
I understand that, but even still, if every time you posted on Facebook, you made $2.50, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that inspire you to not only to post more often, but also to up the level of the content that you're putting out, right? The reason why typical social media sucks
to make money
is because it's just people vomiting stuff out, and they still end up getting likes and stuff. And so you still get that like serotonin hit, but all the while that churn is making the company money. It's not making
Yeah.
individual money. But yeah, that's we're definitely going to be probably putting a little additional on the Hive.
I'm doing Akashic messages once or twice a week.
Yeah, they've been well received, lots of upvotes. I like that.
I know, but no one comments. I would
Yeah.
like comments so I could talk to people.
I would definitely say you need to surf more and go on other
You need to
people's
show
stuff
me
and
how
share
to
it.
do that.
Okay,
So
we'll
that
do
I
that.
can like upvote people.
All right. Anything else that we're doing financially? I'm trying to think. Those are the big ones. We have money in the market that we're actually short the market right now, so we're doing all right. But the money that's in the market most of it will not stay there. We will have probably a portion of the money in the stock market.
we
And
can't
again,
take it out though.
that takes paying attention to it regularly and probably going through the
His anxiety is
anxiety
through
that
the
goes
roof
through.
all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
Sometimes I'm like,
yeah.
just leave me alone. It's not a good day.
I feel bad for him.
No, but it is what it is. So some of the money will stay in the traditional stock market world, because again, you have to be diversified. It might be a rigged game or whatever, but
I honestly think we should just start a business and like it'll be in our own control, our success. I did want to
that
at
is
one
another
point
good
start
use
a
of it.
publishing company.
Oh, this is
But
the other.
books might be on the way out.
A business is a fantastic place to invest capital, because you're a master of your own.
Yeah, you're your
fate.
own control. You control it. It's up to you. Like whereas if you're in the stock market, it's not up to you.
That is true.
In
I mean,
a
like,
lot of ways.
yeah.
If the government decides they want something, they just fucking cook those books.
Oh yeah, or they just outright take it.
Or they print some goddamn trillions
yeah.
of dollars. That's what they do.
So investing in yourself as like a business, again, have a skill, right? Like don't not some bullshit. And then what I would also say is real estate is about to go on sale. In the next 12 to 18 months, you're going to see real estate prices come down dramatically. You're going to need cash or assets or the ability to tap credit in an environment where credit is tough to get, right?
I bet you people would make money by learning how to distill alcohol.
I
feel like every time.
Yeah, they do in the Ozarks and North Georgia.
I'm saying that if it's a bad crisis and you can't afford, by the way, like in Morristown, it's like $8 to $9 a beer.
Yeah.
Like what?
Which, by the way, the still gets here tomorrow. No, I'm kidding. I will be ordering one now.
Imagine that if you make some moonshine or whatever you make, you have the bonfires in your yard.
Dude, that's a skill. Moonshine. Most people think moonshine or high
that
proof
might be a fun hobby to pick up.
That high proof vodka is just for getting bombed, but no, there's actually medicinal uses for it.
Yeah,
you can actually sanitize things with vodka. So like if you can make spirits and stuff, that's most definitely a skill, right?
I will say, thinking about an apocalyptic situation financially, I would say to prepare, like, so for years, I've been doing homeopathy and understanding natural health and how to get the vitamins that you need, or how to, I think that's something if you have kids, because in a bad financial situation, if you don't have money and someone gets hurt, you're really shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Like, so understanding or knowing that you have, like, I know I have a homeopath I can call at any moment, right? Or learning some of like natural first aid, knowing like how
medicinal
to make
herbs.
your own elderberry syrup, or knowing how to make your own, vitamin C syrup, like whatever it is. Fire cider. I just talked about fire cider. It's a huge thing with the flus. Like just knowing those natural, easy, and stocking up on it.
Yeah.
I mean, a few years ago, I stocked up on homeopathic nosodes, 200C, 30C, everything's in the house. Like to have that on hand.
That's actually not to downplay it. I mean, it's a skill. I don't think there's a gigantic learning curve with it.
There is, though.
Well, there is in terms of the expanse of it. right? But so, for instance, pretty much anyone can learn to make elderberry syrup, right?
Oh, elderberries are, yeah, homeopathy is
Okay.
not.
Which, by the way, during cold and flu
It's
season,
great. It's so
sore
easy.
throats and stuff like
Some
that, it's
people
absolutely
say it
fantastic.
doesn't work, but some people say it does. I you know what? Give it every day. It doesn't matter. It's antioxidants. It's like,
Yeah.
it's raw honey,
And so
antioxidants, ginger,
if you can make it, right,
and you can sell it.
make a bunch of it and sell it. And when you
So
sell it,
people sell it for so expensive.
you could sell it for cash or gold and silver.
Gold and silver.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, just
Or
in
Monero.
general, just knowing, I think that's important.
Dude,
because
Dimitri's like our all-star of comments
I don't even
this
have my
episode.
glasses.
Dimitri said, besides being financially secure, I've also bought a lot of supplies, water, canned
Ooh,
goods,
oh
gas
my God.
masks,
So the hazmat suit
suits,
thing.
ammo,
Did you
seeds.
invest in iodine? Because all of my friends are investing in iodine for nuclear situations. Iodine? Is it iodine? What is it that you take?
Yeah, iodine
They
pills.
all have the iodine pills because in case that anything nuclear goes off. And then the government has recently like put in something about they recently backed some kind of iodine company or something like this. And so everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
But I have, I don't know what to get. Whatever you get, Dimitri, let me know because I haven't done that yet. I need to.
Yeah. And iodine is also an antiseptic, right? Like you can sterilize a field if someone gets cut or something like that. Also,
but it's different. It's not the same.
Well, yeah, there's different types. There's also water treatment, right? So there's salt pills for water treatment. You can
These are
also
things people are like crunchy moms across the.
You can also use a cap full of bleach in a gallon of water to sanitize it. So if you have water that you might have microbes or something in, you can actually put it.
I would not do that.
If it's
dire, maybe, but I don't think I would.
That's the point.
Yeah,
you're not doing it every day, but
you don't think you can just go do that unless there's some kind of nuclear or something.
It actually dissipates so much that I don't even think you taste it. The key is that it ends up killing any kind of microorganisms and things.
But
like that.
Everyone goes and gets Pedialyte and this stuff. But all you need is water, a spoonful of honey, and some Himalayan salt, and you have everything you need right there.
Yeah.
And you can get Himalayan salt really cheap in big things.
Mm-hmm.
Raw honey is something you can get that lasts a long time. Like these are the things we have been buying, and.
So Dimitri mentioned a couple of things that are also really important. One of which is books. Okay. In the event that digital information is being censored or things like that, physical books are important.
Talking about farming. Too.
Okay. Yeah. He's talking about farming. So, but digital books, physical books is important. And then also something that we haven't handled just yet is water. Water in terms of being able to collect it, filter it, and treat it. Okay, so
like rain barrels.
So you can collect in rain barrels and then filter and treat.
In New Jersey, isn't rain barrels are not allowed in New Jersey?
There's certain circumstances, but quite frankly, in dire times, regulations.
But if there was nuclear shit, you wouldn't want to get water from the sky.
Yeah, no, I'm drinking wine.
You're not going to survive on just wine. But it's like going back to the whole first date, like find something that interests you, learn about foraging or whatever it is. If it's herbs, if it's teas, if it's homeopathy, if it's that's something we've been doing.
Yeah. Actually,
and you might have a friend who knows who can teach you.
Dimitri said iodine tabs are expensive. But besides that, I also have a few water purifier
tablet. I've seen those.
Yeah.
We should get those.
Yeah, and pump water filters. Yeah,
we should get those.
That's definitely something we have to work on. We also have to work on our power supply situation. I definitely think that solar cells and things like that will become dramatically less expensive.
But we're going to wait for that.
So as it falls, that's also something that we're going to potentially look to invest in terms of at least having a baseline amount of energy coming into the house. It is not my intention to buy a Tesla or something like that with it. But
that idea of iodine tablets being expensive, we were just talking about how close people are talking about military hot war and stuff with Russia. And you were just saying, you think, can I say it?
What?
The people in power would rather bring on nuclear war than release the power they have over
Oh,
people.
I 100% believe that. I
mean,
think
like,
they would rather see the world
I
burn
don't think they
than
give a shit.
them not be in charge.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know so many people who've gotten the iodine tablets. I need to get them.
I
need to get them.
we
have
need to do that.
ivermectin,
Yeah.
hydrochloroquine, and budesonide.
Actually, there is also a positive to, like, so what sucks is we ended up ordering essentially the COVID therapies late. We should have done it way beforehand, and I wish we knew to be more prepared then. But the good news is that a lot of the COVID therapies are also like you can use them for other ailments and stuff like that as well. So you can stock up on things like aspirin or ibuprofen if you don't react well to it, and other kinds of baseline stuff. We definitely have a thought process that the further you get away from nature, kind of the worse things get, right? I don't mind things like aspirin or ibuprofen because I mean aspirin's essentially derived from ground up tree bark, which is what the indigenous people, Native Americans.
No, I'm not a big fan of it.
How they derive
use ibuprofen with toothaches.
Well, no, I mean, but
if you get a toothache and you can't see a fucking dentist, you better have some fucking ibuprofen.
I'll tell you
because that's the only thing.
If I start having a heart attack, you're giving me an aspirin. That's yeah. But yeah, so you can also stock up on those things as well, and again, know those things that are multi-use that you can get a lot of a lot of mileage out of, or a lot of bang for your buck to cover a lot of bases.
I don't think there's any. I mean, is there anything else we're doing? I don't think there's any. But first of all, can I just say this wine is fantastic?
Yeah, the wine was really good.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It tastes like a politician's promises.
Stop.
Not their actual
actions,
just the promises.
Just the promises themselves. I don't think we're doing anything else. Are we doing anything?
No, we're going to be looking to add some arrows to our quiver. So I think the next steps are.
I do want to learn how to
navigating the next couple of months.
We can't do that because we can't bring Piper to the.
Oh yeah, the youngest can't go, but
she's young.
We definitely have some. I'll do an inventory check maybe of my. Do I want the ATF to know about that? I don't know. I might do a rundown of the kinds of guns I have. I'm not going to show everyone the firearms that I have. But
we can't go because Piper's 5. She used to be 7 or 8.
I'll figure it out. We'll find a way. We might be able to get babysitting one night or something so that we can go. But I'll definitely start you off on the 22. Really easy little Daisy Red Rider
I don't know
kind
of feel.
It's super. It doesn't even.
Is it as good as tap dancing?
Because
tap dancing is. Really
to me, it's way better.
Have you ever tap danced?
I have not.
And got a time step you're working really hard on. It's just so.
I gotta tell you, if tap dancing is better than shooting a gun, I might be tap dancing all fucking day long.
Love it. Tap dancing.
Yeah, we'll have to get you going on that.
Are we doing anything else?
No, we will. Something I didn't mention that's not necessarily currency. Ammunition is a really good.
Dimitri said ammo.
Yeah, ammunition is a really good hedge against inflation, believe it or not. It's also very important during times of turmoil, obviously, or need in self-defense.
In this area, break-ins, not in our exact area, but they've had all kinds of people coming into the house while people were there.
Oh yeah,
to find their key fobs and stuff.
That reminds me, I need to order that pump action shotgun for the front door. So anyway, yes, yeah, ammo is very good. Ammo can also be used for barter. So ammo is a really good proxy for currency as well because it has a use value that's associated with it. There's also a work value. So not to get too nerdy, like I know we're getting to the end of the program, but what makes money valuable? It's supposed to be the amount of labor or the amount of value that's imputed in doing something that rewards you with the money, right? Growing something, getting something out of the ground, building something, right? Ammo has a imputed amount of labor that goes into it, right? You have to source the products. You have to basically load the ammo properly and make sure to test it and things like that. So you have some imputed value in the actual ammunition. So it actually works really well as not just a good, right? It also works really well as a means for trade essentially. So what's funny is like a round of 22 long rifle.
It won't work for you in New Jersey, though. No one around here.
You have to, again, surround yourself with like-minded people, right? A round of 22 probably costs anywhere in between, if you load your own, probably 4 or 5 cents. If you buy it on the open market, could cost you 6, 7, 8 cents a round, right? I mean, you can trade in 22 rounds, and if someone has something and they don't necessarily want what you want to barter for it, you can always just trade them some rounds of 22. And then when they find someone else that they want to barter with, maybe they don't want what they have, so they can just trade them with rounds of ammunition. So it actually
Barter
works
is
as a really
something
good
that-
proxy for currency.
Barter's interesting.
I might start a petition and see how many people want to make the currency of the United States ammunition. That would actually be pretty interesting. I think that actually fixes our financial problems personally. I mean, like you
Our
have to
financial problems
be able
are
to
deep.
make it with some level of input cost. But
So deep.
yes, yeah, to quote Michael Burry, or to paraphrase Michael Burry, the outsized financial interventions that you've seen starting in 2008 and 2009, and that continued in 2018 and then in 2020. Okay.
Mhm.
When those things resolve themselves, they don't resolve sideways, meaning they don't come down and then go back up and then come down and go back up. They just go down. Okay.
Yeah.
If he's right and he's extremely intelligent and he's measured in his words, especially when it comes to this stuff, it means we're not just in a correction, right?
Well, I mean,
we're in a really
everything
bad
that
situation.
piled on us all at once made for an extremely. And then I think it's weird that the globe, all around the globe, is having problems. You know, it's like, it's weird. It's weird.
Mhm.
We should buy seeds. Now I feel like I'm looking at that comment. We should buy seeds for next year.
Yeah, we definitely have to start an inventory of seeds for what we're going to plant next year. And again, like I said, we're looking at perennials. So we're going to be looking at raspberries, blueberries, probably either gooseberries or currants, a hazelnut
and a
bush.
cherry tree.
Yeah, I got to figure out where we're going to put
We're
it.
going to do a cherry tree.
Yeah.
The deer are just going to eat everything. We'll just have the families of deer
No,
on
that's what
our
the gun's
property. You can't shoot a gun on our property.
for. Yeah, we only have like a
But we're like,
a
I
third
was
of an acre.
driving to the theater for rehearsal, and I passed like on one corner, there were like 10 deer. I don't know how they multiplied again. There was a mama and
It's
two,
like
three
a
deer.
freaking gang.
And I swear to God, it was like 8 baby deer, 9 baby deer, and a mama.
They're gonna put a hit out on me. All right, with that, we're going on an hour and 43 minutes. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, share. If you catch this on the blockchain, definitely give us an upvote. We appreciate
Or
it.
if you have anything that you're doing.
Yep.
For
If you do
financial Armageddon.
Armageddon, put it in the comments.
What's the difference?
Well,
between
apocalypse,
Armageddon.
Apocalypse.
You know what I am doing? I am getting in touch with my spiritual self.
Yes.
I think that's also something you could do.
Personal health, both mental, spiritual, and physical, is important as well.
Yeah. Like, you know, like getting in touch with your own spiritual. That's another thing. Oh, just get off.
Yeah. We will talk about that in another episode. With that, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you next week.
I have the rest of my wine to drink.
Peace.